Friday's the day when we all get to not do anything at work, pretend to do stuff, but really we're watching YouTube, cause the new video from Chris Pritchard just came out. It's the Chris Pritchard Cycling News Show. Here's a tip for you. I learnt this while I was on the Crank It Up tour. When you finish with your tea bag and you've got the right consistency of milk, right consistency of water, and the coloration of said tea is perfect, don't squeeze the bag too hard. Because what that does is allows all the bitter parts of that tea bag to be released into that tea, making it a very, very disgusting cup of tea. Bish. Hello everyone, welcome to the Chris Pritchard Cycling News Show. Breaking news from last night is your favourite fat streamer only went and bloody won, didn't he? Now I know from that screenshot there it looks like I finished in second position, but I don't know how it works. When someone claims that they're not as good as they actually are, they get promoted into the next tier of groups. So it gave your boy the victory. First time I've won in a long time, and on a route that didn't even really play into my favour. I mean, the sprint for me wasn't even the highlight of this event. It was this move here. So there you can see me just off the back of that front group, sitting in this little group here thinking, they're going to go. They're going to go. There's only one thing I can do, blooming attack. And I bridged the bloody gap. It's rare that I ever manage to bridge a gap, such as the speed of the blob compared to one man on his own. But when you're going up a climb and everybody's on the limit, turns out I can close it down. And I thought, even if I don't make it to the bottom with this group, at least I committed to something. At least for once in my life, I said, Pritch, take control of your destiny. And I did. And I bloody won. Now, if you're interested in checking out that stream, link as always down in the description. If you want to check out a stream as they go live, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know when I go live. The most popular time for me to stream is around 6 PM UK time, which is highly inconvenient for somebody who has a family. So when I can, I just jump on and I stream. So we might not always know exactly when I'm going to be streaming, but if you hit that notification bell, you'll know when I go live and you can jump straight into the chat. Right, let's get on to some real news. Alright, and the first story we're going to cover today is about Chris Boardman and his appearance on popular political programme on the BBC, Question Time. I don't know if it's popular or not. I never watch it. It makes my blood boil when I watch that programme. But the only question he had to answer there was the biggest question surrounding the UK at the minute. Did Cameron Jeffers cheat?
It's a product of circumstance. When people are trying to use whatever mechanism is available to them to get the result that they clearly feel passionate about. We've seen a lot of passion here. So I think it's inevitable. People will find a way with the system.
I think he was trying to say no, but I could be wrong. But to be fair, Boardman's appearance on there, I ended up watching this programme, Boardman's appearance on there was actually pretty good. And he was the one person who obviously didn't have an agenda there, so he could just speak his mind and actually talk common sense. One thing the rest of the panel have no idea about. Now, we're not going to get political, but a couple of points I want to pick up on that Boardman made were brilliant. So one of the questions put to the panel, surprise, surprise, was about Brexit. Now, we're not going to get all political here. I don't care. That's it. That's what I'm saying on the matter. And the second point was about the NHS and these politicians talking about what they are going to do, what they're not going to do, the 24-hour GPs that they're going to put on, the X amount of money that they're going to put into the NHS, the fact that the Conservatives are going to sell off the NHS, all that jazz. But one thing that Boardman said, again, amazing, valid point, was that obesity and inactivity is costing the NHS £8 billion a year. If people stop driving the cars as much as they do, got a little more active, like us, okay, then we would probably save a ton of money here in the UK, which I think personally is a bloody great idea. It just makes sense. Like, you're killing at least 20 birds with one stone simply by getting off your arse, right? And doing a bit of exercise. Reducing the risk of type 2 diabetes, reducing the risk of cancer, reducing the risk of heart attack, increasing your longevity of life. But anyway, that's enough of the politics. And one thing about Question Time, it always seems to bring out, what's the word, the well-educated, the open-minded, the sensible thinkers of Twitter. Here's just a few tweets that I found whilst looking under the hashtag BBCQT. Get this twat Chris Boardman off at BBC Question Time. Next up, Dominic Henshaw said, who gives a flyer what a cyclist thinks? They're all tossers anyway and have no place in political debate. But obviously in the negativity there were still some positive people. Gasman said, hopefully this sets a precedent and we can look forward to seeing Hambini on future editions of the show. Could you imagine Hambini on BBC Question Time?
Hello Hambini fans and welcome!
I mean, I'd love to see it, but I very much doubt that's going to happen. And Chris Boardman segues us nicely into the next story, and that is the story of the Velolife Cafe. Now, you might remember this story from the summertime, where the Velolife Cafe had an injunction in place and it looked likely that this place could potentially be closed and potentially the owner of said establishment be put in jail simply by not following the orders of the injunction, because one resident complained that cyclists were causing a nuisance outside. Cycling clubs were either gathering to start their ride there, meeting there halfway through their ride, or ending their ride there. Heaven forbid that cyclists should meet at a bloody cycling cafe, and a really nice one at that. It's done out, bloody lovely it is. But thankfully, the injunction has finally been dropped. Huge supporter of the cafe, Chris Boardman, who's been trying to drum up support for the cafe since he first heard about it, said, the withdrawal of the injunction is a long overdue victory for common sense, and more importantly, ends 2 years of senseless legal action and unnecessary disruption and anguish for Mr. Goodwin, his family and his staff. And just like Chris Boardman said there in that statement, this must have caused some serious stress for the proprietor, Lee Goodwin. Not only him, but his family, the staff and, the cyclists within that community. Now, I think as a cycling community, the best thing we can do is, if you're local to the area or you're passing through the area, make sure you pop into the Velolife Cafe. Go and say hello, spend a little bit of money in there, whether you're getting your bike repaired, whether you're having a coffee or cake, whatever it might be, just spend a little time in there, spend a little money in there, because I dread to think how many thousands of pounds he's spent of his own money trying to keep afloat, trying to keep his business going with this going on. So the least we can do, hopefully, is give him a little back. Velolife 1. Council nil. Okay, and in other news, to try and fill out this show just a little bit, to make it a little bit longer, hopefully to reach that 10 minutes that I need to be able to place one ad right in the middle of it, here's some more news for you. Areka Samsic are to ride Canyon bikes in 2020. They switch from BH to a 2-year deal with the German manufacturer. Harry Tanfield signs for AG2R Le Mondial as they hit the Alps for a pre-season training camp. Well, more of a gathering. There's not going to be much training involved in that, is there really? Floyd Landis' Continental team is folding after 1 season. Yay. Who cares? It's kind of it really for news this week. Leave your comments down. But one thing, I will recommend this video. Me and Tim watched it in bed. Not together, separate beds, but we watched it last week and I keep meaning to recommend it to you guys. This is Casually Explained as they talk about cyclists.
Now, one of the most important parts of being on a bike is being on Strava, which tracks your rides and lets you compete with your friends. And while this is all well and good, a true cyclist of course doesn't have any friends, using Strava only to compare his wattages to real professionals and to see when Puck Moonen is within Tinder radius of a cafe and a bike rack. Now, if you're not a cyclist, at this point you might be thinking, oh my god, my husband recently bought a bike off Craigslist, but I thought we were a good couple. I just want to have a life together, to have kids together. Is he just going to be away all the time as I raise the children by myself? Their only memory of their father being the weekend he came home to teach them to ride a bike without training wheels? And no, you're getting way ahead of yourself, because once again, a cyclist would never have kids in the first place, as pregnant women are not arrow.
Links down in the description. Go and give it a watch if you've not done already. Making my content look very, very poor indeed. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, do everything that you need, notification bells, comments, likes, dislikes, I don't care. Just have a great weekend, and I'll see you again next week. Beijo.